Hey guys, it's Sarah Sweeney at the Care House. I've got Brandi with me here today. We're at Galactic Comics. Dale, the owner, invited us to talk about how comic books can change children and how it helps them heal from trauma. So let's go talk to him. Come on.
Dale, thank you so much for inviting us here today. Tell me, why do you support the Care House?
I've always believed in what the Care House stood for, especially with, helping abused children and abused families. It's harder on the child, not just because of the act itself, but because emotionally and mentally, it can really mess them up. And what the Care House does is phenomenal to try and reach these children. And I think it's something that we need, because we can't forget about the kids.
So tell me, how can comics be important in a child's life?
Of course, reading comics teaches values, teaches you how to handle certain situations, how to be able to be brave, honorable, things like this. And then, of course, the imagination part of it is just, that's to me, that's the best part for me as I see the kids come into the store, is just watching them, because that is my reward. One of the perks of being a comic book store owner is whenever, especially a small child, comes into a comic book store for the first time. I've always felt that this type of environment, when you walk in, should have a wow factor to it. It should stimulate the imagination as soon as you walk through the door. And it's always been a policy in this store that if you've never had a comic book, or you've never owned a book and this is your first time, your first comic is free.
That's awesome that you let them get their first comic for free, because it kind of takes away that pressure of, ooh, can I get this one? Is this something we can afford?
Right.
Will my mom even let me get a comic? And it kind of engages them and motivates them to want to learn to read, to want to engage with these comics. And I can't imagine the happiness that those kids have on their face.
Well, I always try to make it something that they never forget, especially on their first visit. And that's just always been important to me. So Brandi, you've asked me quite a few questions today, and I've tried to be as honest as I can. I've got one question for you.
Okay.
How do you tie comics and artwork in your therapy?
So comics and artwork are a huge part of therapy with children. We use comics and artwork in many, many different ways. We often have the kids draw their feelings. They draw pictures of their family. Drawing in itself is a huge part of it, in ways that they can express themselves, because at a young age they may not always have the words to express themselves or get their emotions out, or tell their story. Part of what we do here at the Care House is we do something called TFCBT, which is trauma focused cognitive behavioral therapy, which focuses on their trauma and how our thoughts, feelings, and actions are all connected. And part of TFCBT is we have the children tell their story, and they can do that in a variety of different ways. And one of the ways that seems to be the most popular with the kids is they can create a comic. We have a blank comic strips or they can make their own comic strip, however they want to do it. They have complete and total control over how they tell us their story. And so they make their own comics. They become the hero of their own story. And the children really seem to enjoy that. And a lot of them, in my experience, have been able to relate to superheroes, and you'll see them mirror their story to some of the comics they may have been familiar with. And then comics are also used a lot. We read books all the time in therapy to help get messages across to the children, or to use them as a teaching tool. And so comics can, as you mentioned, I believe earlier, they can help teach the children values. They can see that trauma it can normalize the trauma, because many superheroes have been through trauma in their past, and they've gotten past it, and they've become the superhero, and they've triumphed over the evil that was in their lives, and the children really relate to that in a way that they don't necessarily relate to other stuff.
Wow, that is amazing. I had no idea it had that big of an impact in your therapy. That's really incredible.
So, what's a quality that superheroes can teach children?
Well, I don't really feel like I'm qualified to answer that question. You probably should talk to some superheroes, and believe it or not, I've got a couple of friends here in the store that might can help you out if you'd like to follow me.
Okay.
And I was like, Olivia, I hardly know you. You really don't laugh, do you?
No. Hey guys.
Hey!
You guys doing alright today? Listen, Miss Brandi just asked me a question that I don't really feel like I can answer. She asked me what quality could children learn from superheroes, and I figured, I mean, what better way to get a good answer than to get it from people who have that experience. So, you want to answer the question?
Well, first of all, I'd say responsibility.
Okay.
Being a superhero has to deal with taking on and taking care of others, but also taking care of yourself. Also, I'd probably add in honor.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be a role model to others.
Right.
And you can't do it by yourself, so you have to inspire others to be with you.
Right.
I don't know what you say.
It's something along those lines. You said it perfectly.